cannot be tested for AIDS without your consent.
Without your
We
consent.
mentioned the word AIDS right now. And so you intuitively, and sorry for interrupting, but this is very important. You intuitively maybe thought that it was AIDS?
I don't know intuitively or not, Lee. I had led a very rough shot and extremely crazy life.
Okay.
For a lot of years. Okay, and there are things that you learn in the 12 steps of recovery called living with your past. Okay, living with your old issues and making peace with yourself over them. And I admitted my faults, and I knew my wrongs, and I had a lot of drunken and drug related unprotected promiscuous sex.
Right.
Wreckage
Which a lot of people.
Wreckage of the past. Correct.
Right.
And for some reason I was so sick I just asked to be tested, and I got a call 2 days later to come down, and I knew it at that time because they don't call you back in unless they got something bad to tell you. And I saw a specialist in AIDS, and she said you would definitely have AIDS, and she told me my T cell count.
What was her personality like? Was she loving? Was she scared?
She's a very kind. This was a female doctor who specializes in AIDS.
Okay,
that's her specialty.
So she wasn't
in the clinic, and no, she was very kind, very gentle, very nice about it, and just very factual. But she said, "I can't treat you. You're too sick. I don't know what. We still don't know what's wrong with you.
Wow.
You have to go back to the hospital."
Wow.
So I went back to that same county hospital, waited for 5 hours, and this time I was so sick they took me in. And that's when I was diagnosed with the tuberculosis as well.
But the tuberculosis was probably the result of the compromised immune system.
That's exactly that's
because then you've told
correct.
too. Then you got herpes zoster. You had that. Again, all of these things are the result of your lifestyle. Then one leading to the HIV positive, and
correct.
then the compromise of your immune system.
Correct.
And but they are treatable. I know that you said that you never had trouble getting the drugs for either condition.
But let me stop you right there, because when I was in the 80s, I was working in treatment, and we had people that we told they were HIV positive, and that was a death sentence then.
It was.
So let's bring it up to 2011. And can I just take a minute to ask Mary some questions?
Well,
when did it turn into not a death sentence? When did that change happen for AIDS?
As the drug research, there's been a lot of research in the area of AIDS, and there are drugs that are out there that extend life, that take away the death sentence. There are people living very healthy lives, and your CD4 count goes down, right? All your counts go down.
Goes up.
Goes up. Okay, they're down, and then it goes back up.
I'll give you an example. Okay, when I was first diagnosed, there are two counts that they check. First, it's called your viral load. The other one is the T cells or the CD4, which for all intents and purposes, that's your white blood cell count.
Right.
I had 65 white blood cells when I was first diagnosed. 65.
That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Normal range is 4,000 to 6,000.
Actually, the normal range is between 500 and 800.
On that particular
on the white
count.
blood cell count.
Okay,
correct.
I'm talking about a regular.
Correct. I'm talking just white blood cell count.
Okay.
Normal range is 500 to 800. My viral load was off the chart. It was 275,000.
Okay.
Okay. Anything under 200, that's a demarcation point. Anything under 200 is called AIDS. Anything above 200 is HIV.
Well, I didn't know
the HIV
that.
virus.
Yes. The difference.
I've become very educated.
Oh yeah, that's why.
For obvious reasons.
That's why. For two reasons.
Very knowledgeable. My viral load today is undetectable.
Really?
For all intents and purposes, I do not have. Even though I have it, it's undetectable.
Amazing.
My T cell and my white blood cell count at last count was about 585.
Amazing miracle.
Okay.
When
you talk about miracles, Mary is referring to these are the miracle drugs that they come out with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That's how much money has been put into the research.
Well, thank you, God, because
and then you were able to have the TB treated, though. Also,
that's correct.
with drugs. Tell a little bit about that and how they've watched you take the medication.
Oh yes. Yeah. Tuberculosis is a very it's spread through the air. It's an airborne virus, and they take it very seriously. And I was put under the jurisdiction and watchfulness of the Los Angeles County Department of Health. and I had to take 10 pills a day.
Wow.
And I had to pass 3 consecutive what's called sputum tests to be released from the hospital, which means you have to have clean lung tests, even though
Right.
mine was
Without in your
lymph
lungs
node.
to begin with.
Well, I didn't. I still have a hard time passing the sputum
did?
test too.
Okay.
Even so, for a couple of days.
Okay.
For a couple of days, you have to pass. If you pass 2 in a row and then the one comes back negative, you have to start from scratch. You
Okay.
can't just go to the third one and it's be okay. So you have to go back to ground zero, and that's just the way it is. And they put me on. It's called directly observable therapy, where a nurse either go into the clinic, or actually they have not a nurse, but somebody deliver them to your home and watch you take the pills every day.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I want to bring this up for our audience, all the people out there in this recession that have no health insurance. You had no health insurance, correct?
Correct.
And you were a drug addict, alcoholic. You got
Correct.
into recovery.
Correct.
And then you got physically sick, HIV positive. And how did you deal with all this? I mean, if you had had billions of dollars, it would have been hard enough. But having no money, no insurance, how did that work? That's what I want you to look right in the camera. Give some of these people hope out here that have no money, no health insurance, nothing in these times.
Well, at the treatment center that I went to, which has a clinic, and the hospital itself, they are patient advocates, similar to Mary, in the social workers and patient advocates, and they helped me out a lot. Getting onto Medi-Cal,
Okay.
and I got on disability. I qualified for disability because I also had a compromised illness. As a result of 2 days out of the hospital with AIDS, I developed shingles.
Wow.
And there are certain
Very
illnesses.
painful too, right?
Very painful. Fortunately, I was given medication within 2 days that completely took the pain away.
Amazing again.
There are amazing drugs out there, and thank God for that, like you said, Dr. Lee. And I was put on a disability, and it took a while, and Medi-Cal covered it all, and eventually I got
Wow.
I got Medicare.
Yeah.
Two years later,
you know,
and
for
between
people-
the two of them, they cover my medications.
And free testing is always available through county health departments.
That's
no matter
correct, yeah.
where you are, you have at least free testing for HIV, for STDs, for all kinds of
That's
things, for the
correct.
TB.
That's
if
correct.
that's what, so there, it isn't a matter of having private insurance. You can get tested for major illnesses.
That's correct.
And get treated for them.
And Mary,
recover.
that's what I want this show to be about. I can talk about recovery all day. Mental health, there's not much mental health around lately, but there is 12 steps,
There
and
are
that
12
really
steps,
works for
yeah.
people that have no insurance, no money. But also on the physical level, there's help with that too, right?
There
They
is.
don't just.
There is.
I mean, you have long waits. That's what, you had to wait 5 hours
5 to
sometimes?
6 hours.
It's
yeah.
not easy.
No, it's not easy, but what else can you do?
But it's life-giving.
What else can you do?
It saved
Exactly,
your life,
exactly,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah, that you kept going back and you didn't give up. And there are cultural things about TB too. There are people who it's a cultural thing that they don't want people to know that they have TB, that they have. These are.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a minute? What do you mean they don't want people to know?
Well, it's a shame in some cultures to have any kind of communicable diseases.
Well, so is
Yeah.
AIDS.
Yeah, that's
And the
the
minute
same thing.
in the old days, the minute you mentioned that word, oh my gosh!
Well, we have legislation that protects it. There've never been. If your children have scarlet fever, you get a notice on your door that your children have a communicable disease. There's protection, and it's not a reportable disease. It's one that
Now, what are you talking?
I'm talking about HIV.
HIV.
Now I'm talking about HIV.
If you have it, what happens?
You have to. David told you. You have to ask for it if you think you might have it.
Okay.
If I'm reading a hospital chart, and I read your chart, it would not have in there that
I
you're
did not know
HIV
that.
positive.
Why?
This is the legislation that's taken place for whatever reason.
Okay.
Some of the stuff was put into place.
Well, a lot of things to me really don't
make sense. Yeah.
But the good news is that all of us together we can really make this world a better place. And
spread the word. There's
spread
hope.
the word.
There's recovery. There's
And in this show, again, I want to do the psychological part, but there's no way that I can do the medical part. So that's why I brought on Mary Joy to be the co-host. And back to you.
Okay.
I'm not letting you off yet. getting back a little bit, we still have a little time. Getting back into, and it kind of, my mind kind of went into some real hard questions. You were born, or you lived in New York City, and
For a time.
For a time.
For a time.
And drugs and alcohol, were you like, I don't know if this is confidential or not, but how did you make a living? I mean, I know you said they were the most important, but did you ever have a career, or?
Never really had a career.
Never really had a career.
I just skimmed through life. I got a series of, I was a bartender for a while.
A bartender? I can see you as a bartender.
I was a bartender for a while. I drank my way out of that.
What a terrible place for an alcoholic.
I drank away the profits. Pretty much. And I had a series, for a lot of years, I had a series of meaningless telemarketing jobs.
Okay. But somehow you just barely got enough drugs and alcohol to get by.
Correct.
But you never sold drugs as a way of life.
I tried selling drugs for a short period of time many years ago, but there's an expression, I became my own best customer.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the bad parts of being an addict. you gotta sample what you're selling.
Well, you do a lot more than sample. You do a lot more than sample.
I was being kind.
I appreciate that. Don't pull any punches. It's okay.
No. So getting back to recovery again, because again, that's what I worked in treatment for years, and a lot of these places in treatment, unfortunately, have closed down. But what kind of 12-step work do you do now? You have sponsees, and a sponsee is somebody that you work with?
A sponsee is somebody who wants to get sober and stay sober.
How do you know if somebody wants to get sober? Maybe I'm putting you on the spot, but
no,
a lot of people go, I don't have a problem, I just drink a couple beers. That same old, same old.
God bless you, my son. Good luck to you. If you ever have a problem, you know where to come. Seriously,
You got it.
The first thing that somebody has to do is admit that they have a problem.
Okay.
The second thing they have to do is want to do something about it.
Okay.
A lot of people come in, they might admit they have a problem, but they're not so crazy or eager to do anything about it. To take what I call the required steps, the required actions, in order to achieve long-term, contented, and useful sobriety.
You think you can do it now without treatment? I guess it depends on the individual.
I did it without treatment.
So he did it, and that gives me a little hope, because
treatment centers, with all due respects, they're very helpful, and I do not dismiss them at all. They are very expensive ways of getting people into the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous.
$30,000.
Correct. They're very expensive ways, and I'm not knocking them. I don't put them down.
Okay.
I have a fellow that I've been working with for 4 years right now who checked into detox just yesterday one more time.
Wow.
And he's going to stay in a treatment center for 30 days. Whether it'll keep him sober or not after the 30 days or not, I don't know.
Okay. We're really running close to out of time. So what do you want to tell the audience? I think we got about another minute. I'm not positive. My eyesight is so bad. We got to wind it up. Yeah. So you know what? Right now, I want to thank you. You have to come back and do another show,
Thank
David.
you, Lee. I appreciate you having me.
And I want to thank you, Mary. You've been great.
Glad to be here.
And ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wonderful show again. I'm glad to be back. Please keep the faith.